The air inside the Galactrek spaceport buzzed with the kind of energy that only a melting pot of interstellar trade could generate. Alien languages intertwined with the hum of machinery and the distant roar of engines igniting. Amidst this chaos, Jack Harrison stood firm, a seasoned trader in rare goods with an eye for lucrative opportunities. Today, Jack was finalizing what seemed like a straightforward transaction. His client, a Zentari merchant named Torbeck, had a cargo hold full of Bloridian crystals, translucent gems that could power starships or, in some circles, be crafted into potent artifacts of mystique and allure. Jack's clientele would pay handsomely for such treasures. As they approached the conclusion of their negotiation, Torbeck's thin, split lips curved into a secretive smile. "Jack, my friend, I believe I have something else that might interest you," he said, his voice a sibilant whisper over the din of the crowd. Curious, Jack raised an eyebrow. He watched as Torbeck signaled to someone behind him. From the shadows of the merchant's sleek black ship, a figure emerged. Draped in a dark cloak, the only distinguishable features were the bright, piercing eyes that seemed to scan the room with both caution and a trace of defiance. "This is Alara," Torbeck introduced, his hand resting lightly on the figure's shoulder. "She comes from a line of adept servitors, trained in the sophisticated etiquettes of the galactic courts and well-versed in multiple technologies. A valuable addition to any household or crew, and today, she can be yours. Consider her part of our deal, at no extra cost." Jack frowned, his initial interest cooling rapidly. He had navigated the dark edges of the cosmos and dealt with all manners of ethical ambiguities, but slavery? That was a line he hesitated to cross. Yet, there was something about Alara's posture, the set of her shoulders, the slight tilt of her head as she met his gaze, that suggested she was no ordinary servant. "Why offer her to me?" Jack asked, skepticism threading his tone. "What's the catch, Torbeck?" "No catch," Torbeck replied smoothly, though his eyes darted away for a fraction of a second. "Consider it a token of my appreciation for our many profitable transactions. She is far from home and needs a protector, someone with honor. I know you, Jack. You are that man." Jack studied Alara once more. She hadn't spoken a word, yet her eyes seemed to communicate a plea. Was it for liberation or something else? Driven by a mixture of intrigue and an unexpected stir of compassion, he made his decision. "All right, Torbeck. I'll accept her into my crew. But not as a servant. As an associate. She'll be free to leave whenever she chooses." Torbeck's smile widened, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Very well, Jack. I believe that arrangement can be most satisfactory." As the merchant departed, Alara stepped closer, her gaze now directly on Jack. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, but clear in the cacophony of the spaceport. "I am much more than I appear, and I believe you are too." Jack nodded, sensing the weight of her words and wondering about the true extent of the journey he had just agreed to embark upon with this mysterious woman who was no mere servant. Little did he know, this decision would alter the course of his life forever. As Jack's ship, the Starbound, slipped out of the bustling Galactrek spaceport and into the vast, star-speckled expanse of space, an uneasy silence settled between him and his new, enigmatic companion. Jack was accustomed to the solitude of the cosmos, but Alara's presence brought a new, palpable tension into the ship's cabin. For the first few days, Alara kept to herself, spending long hours staring out at the nebulae and star clusters from the observation deck. Jack observed her from a distance, noting how she moved with a grace that seemed almost rehearsed, perfect for a court, but strangely out of place on a trader's ship. Determined to understand more about his mysterious new crew member, Jack invited Alara to join him in the ship's common area for a meal. Under the soft glow of the overhead lights, he watched her cautiously approach, her posture rigid but her expression open. "Alara," Jack started, passing her a plate of synthesized protein and vegetables. "I get the feeling there's a lot more to you than meets the eye. Why did Torbeck really send you with me?" Elara took a small bite, her gaze fixed on the starlit blackness outside. After a moment, she set her fork down and met Jack's eyes. I was not just a servant. I come from a family that held considerable influence on my home planet, she began, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. My knowledge and skills were meant for more than servitude. I was trained to navigate the complexities of interstellar diplomacy and technology. Jack leaned back, intrigued. So, why disguise yourself as a servant? What's forcing you to hide? Elara sighed, a trace of sorrow flickering across her face. My planet fell under the rule of a tyrant who sought to eliminate any threats to his power. My family was targeted. I escaped, but not before seeing the cost of his ambition. And Torbeck? Jack pressed, trying to piece together the puzzle. He was a friend of my father's. He promised he would keep me safe by hiding me in plain sight. But I no longer wish to hide. I want to reclaim my life, to use what I know for something meaningful. Jack's respect for her grew in leaps. Here was a woman who had faced unimaginable trials, yet her resolve was unbroken. You're not just hiding from something, you're also working towards something. How can I help? For the first time, Elara smiled genuinely. Just continue doing what you're doing. Let me be a part of your crew, not just as a passenger, but as someone who can make a difference. I have knowledge of technologies and languages that can open new doors for us in trade. Impressed by her ambition and the potential benefits to his own ventures, Jack agreed. Over the following weeks, Elara proved her worth many times over. She introduced Jack to advanced alien technologies and negotiated trade deals with a diplomatic finesse that earned the Starbound favorable contracts across multiple systems. As they traveled from one star system to another, Jack found himself not only relying on Elara's expertise, but also enjoying her company. Beneath her initially reserved exterior lay a sharp wit and a kindred spirit who shared his love for the stars. Together, they uncovered opportunities Jack had never imagined, delving deeper into the network of intergalactic trade. But as they grew closer and their list of allies expanded, so too did the danger, as whispers of Elara's true identity began to surface, threatening to draw them into a web of galactic intrigue and peril. As the Starbound coursed through the starlit corridors between systems, Jack and Elara grew closer, their partnership forged in the furnace of shared adventure and mutual respect. Yet, beneath the daily rhythms of trade and travel, a deeper tension simmered. Elara's past was catching up, and the galaxy was a small place for those with enemies. One evening, as they navigated a particularly treacherous asteroid belt near the Verdant system, Elara turned to Jack with a seriousness he had learned to pay attention to. "Jack, there's something I haven't told you," she said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying a hint of apprehension. Jack paused, setting aside the navigation charts. "I'm listening," he said, his tone encouraging yet wary of the weight her words might carry. Elara took a deep breath. "I am not just any refugee or displaced noble. I am a princess, the rightful heir to the throne of Illyria. My planet was taken over by my uncle, who sought to eliminate all potential threats to his rule. My escape was orchestrated to protect me until I could reclaim my birthright." The revelation hit Jack like a rogue comet. "A princess," he murmured, trying to reconcile this new information with the woman he knew, who could rewire an engine or haggle over star maps with seasoned traders. "That explains the depth of your knowledge and your poise." "Yes," Elara continued, her gaze fixed on the star-strewn space outside the viewport. "I need your help, Jack. Not just as a fellow trader or a friend, but as an ally in a fight that's bigger than any trade deal we've struck." Jack considered her request, aware of the dangers it posed not just to their operation but to their lives. Yet, the thought of aiding a rightful queen to reclaim her throne from a tyrant was the kind of cause that resonated with his deeper values. "What do you need from me?" he asked. Elara outlined a plan that involved rallying support from various systems where they had established trade relations. Many of these systems despised her uncle's regime for its tyranny and disruption of regional peace. We need to build a coalition, she explained. Not just of armed ships, but of influential systems that can legitimize and support my claim. Over the next several months, Jack and Elara traveled across the galaxy, meeting in secret with officials, rebels, and mercenaries. Elara proved herself a masterful strategist, her royal upbringing giving her an unparalleled edge in diplomacy and tactics. Jack and Elara's journey across the galaxy had transformed the Starbound from a mere merchant vessel into the fulcrum of a burgeoning rebellion. The coalition they had assembled was a tapestry of various factions, disenfranchised nobles, ambitious traders, and freedom fighters, all united under Elara's promise of a fairer, open governance. As the Starbound approached Illyria, the tension aboard was palpable. The coalition fleet, now a formidable force, hovered at the edge of the Illyrian system, cloaked in the shadow of a moon. Elara stood beside Jack in the command center, her face set with determination, her eyes burning with the fire of impending liberation. "Once we begin, there is no turning back," Jack said, his voice low, mindful of the weight of their next actions. Elara nodded. "I am ready, Jack. Because of you, we have a chance. Today, we fight not just for Illyria, but for what Illyria can become." With a final nod, Elara initiated the battle. Signals were sent, and the fleet surged forward from the moon's shadow, breaking their cloaking as they entered Illyrian space. The usurpers' forces, caught off guard, scrambled to respond. The space around Illyria lit up with the blasts of energy weapons and the defensive maneuvers of starfighters. Jack piloted the Starbound, weaving through the chaos, each move coordinated with Elara's keen tactics. Together, they punched through the blockades, clearing a path to Illyria's atmosphere. On the surface, Elara's supporters rose in unison, their spirits ignited by the sight of their princess's fleet piercing the sky. The ground battle was fierce, with pockets of resistance turning into full-scale engagements. Jack's ground teams, led by commanders handpicked by Elara, executed their missions with precision, aiming to disable key military installations. In the palace's command center, Elara's uncle, the usurper, watched the uprising with growing dread. As his advisors barked orders and scrambled to mount a defense, he realized the tide was turning against him. Finally, Elara and Jack led a select team on a direct assault against the palace. The corridors echoed with the sounds of confrontation as they fought their way to the throne room. There, Elara confronted her uncle, flanked by her loyalists. "You have no place here anymore," Elara declared, her voice resounding through the ornate hall. "Illyria belongs to its people, not to a tyrant who rules through fear and oppression." Her uncle, defiant yet visibly shaken, was taken into custody after a tense standoff. With the palace secured, Elara addressed her people from the balcony, her image broadcasted across the planet. "Today, we reclaim our home and our destiny," she proclaimed, her words met with cheers and tears of joy from the gathered crowd. "Together, we will build a new Illyria, rooted in justice and prosperity for all." In the days that followed, Elara began the work of rebuilding, her rule legitimized by the coalition and her people's overwhelming support. Jack, having played a pivotal role in the liberation, chose to stay by Elara's side, not as a ruler, but as an advisor and, importantly, as a partner. Together, they navigated the challenges of governance, ensuring that the dark days of tyranny gave way to a brighter future, underpinned by the ideals of freedom and equality that had united them in their epic struggle. The end Jack and Elara's story became a legend, a testament to the power of unity and the enduring spirit of those who fight for justice. In the chronicles of the galaxy, their tale was a beacon of hope, inspiring countless other worlds to strive for a better tomorrow.